Imagine a chill that isn't the Rocky Mountain air, but a whisper on your soul, a spectral vibration resonating through the very bedrock of Denver. Imagine the silent orange and blue, not as mere colors on a jersey, but as a living, breathing entity, an ancient, unyielding will that has seeped into the stadium's foundation, the city's very fabric. This is the truth of the Broncos, not just a team, but a fierce, persistent spirit. And you, dear viewer, are not merely watching, you are part of its relentless, unyielding demand for immortality, a conduit for a force that refuses to settle for anything less than glory, a force that gnaws at the edges of the mundane, constantly seeking, constantly striving, constantly haunting. You feel its presence now, don't you? That insatiable hunger for supremacy, that chilling echo of determination. This haunting didn't materialize from thin air. It clawed its way out of the abyss of ridicule and defeat, forged in the barren landscapes of the AFL's early years, a crucible where lesser wills would have simply dissolved. Denver's franchise was once a laughingstock, their original mustard yellow and brown uniforms so hideous they were mocked as the Pajama Party, a symbol of their early futility. But even in those darkest days, a flicker of something malevolent and defiant stirred. The players, often cast-offs and forgotten men, coalesced around a primal urge, to simply exist, to survive. This wasn't about winning then, it was about not dying. It was about planting a flag in the vast, untamed West and declaring, "We are here. We will not be moved." They became the underdogs of the underdogs, forging a bond with a city that mirrored their scrappy resilience, a city carved out of wilderness by sheer force of will. A particularly grim truth about their genesis is that in the turbulent early 1970s, facing financial ruin and dwindling attendance, the Broncos were on the verge of being moved to Seattle, a move that only failed due to a desperate, last-minute community buyout and the tireless, almost fanatical efforts of local businessmen who refused to let their city's fledgling identity be extinguished, embedding a deep-seated, almost pathological fear of abandonment into the franchise's very core. This existential threat cemented an unshakable, almost supernatural, drive to endure, to forever cling to their rightful place. The city's spirit, stubborn and fierce, found its mirror in the orange and blue, a color scheme chosen as much for its vibrancy as for its stark contrast to the blandness of their forgotten past, a desperate declaration of a new, more defiant identity. Then came the Orange Crush. In the late 1970s, the spectral whispers of defiance began to coalesce into a formidable, physical presence. This wasn't just a defense, it was a hungry, predatory entity, an unholy alliance of bone-jarring tackles and suffocating pressure. Led by figures like Randy Gradishar, Lyle Alzado, and Tom Jackson, they didn't just stop offenses, they consumed them, their orange jerseys stained with the mud and blood of opponents, a chilling testament to their ferocity. The air in Old Mile High Stadium would thicken, the roar of the crowd not just cheering, but a primal, almost ritualistic chant echoing through the canyons of the stands, fueling the monstrous energy on the field. Opposing quarterbacks spoke of seeing ghosts, of feeling an invisible hand clutching their throats, of the sheer, unblinking menace radiating from the orange and blue. They were the embodiment of the franchise's nascent soul, a concrete manifestation of its refusal to simply fade away. They were relentless, tenacious, and terrifying. This was the first true revelation of the Broncos' fierce spirit, not just surviving, but actively seeking to dominate, to instill fear. It was a dark, exhilarating shift, a declaration that Denver was no longer content to merely exist, it was ready to hunt. They ripped through the league, their presence on the field a dark omen for any who dared to cross their path, culminating in their first Super Bowl appearance, a loss, yes, but a sacrifice that only deepened the resolve, imbuing the franchise with a thirst for ultimate victory, a thirst that would become an unquenchable fire. But the spirit yearned for more than just a fearsome defense. It demanded a conductor, a shaman to channel its raw power, and in 1983, one arrived. John Elway. He wasn't just a quarterback, he was a destined, tormented figure, chosen by the orange and blue to bear its heaviest burdens and its greatest hopes. His early years were a prolonged purgatory of near misses and gut-wrenching Super Bowl defeats, each loss scarring the soul of the franchise, a fresh wound bleeding into the collective consciousness of its fans. The drive against Cleveland, a legendary march down the field, was not just a football play, it was Elway wrestling with fate itself, a man possessed, his body ravaged by the effort. A chilling, lesser-known detail of that infamous drive is that Elway, during the waning moments, was silently battling a severe asthma attack on the sideline, his struggle for breath a visceral manifestation of the immense physical and mental toll required to conjure such a miraculous victory from the jaws of defeat. This silent suffering, unseen by most, perfectly encapsulated the relentless, almost self-destructive will that defined his tenure. 3 Super Bowl losses in 4 years. 3 times the Orange and Blues' dreams were shattered. The agony was palpable, a spectral weight on the entire city. But Elway, the unwilling prophet, refused to break. He kept coming back, year after year, his spirit hardening, his resolve becoming a diamond forged in the fires of perpetual defeat. It was a testament to a spirit that not only refused to settle for mediocrity but utterly rejected failure as a final destination. The years of torment, the almost ritualistic disappointments, only served to temper and sharpen the fierce spirit, preparing it for the eventual, glorious explosion. The Orange and Blue, through Elway, learned to hate losing with a primal, suffocating intensity. And then, the redemption. The spirit, after years of gnawing agony, finally found its release. With a devastating defense and a ground game to match, the Orange and Blue rallied around their aging warrior. Super Bowl 32 was not just a victory, it was an exorcism, a breaking of the chains that had bound the franchise for so long. The ghost of past failures was finally laid to rest, but not forgotten. It became a permanent, hallowed memory, a reminder of the price of true glory. And then, Super Bowl 33, a defiant back-to-back triumph, solidifying Elway's place, and the Broncos, in the pantheon. But even after Elway's departure, the spirit did not wane. It merely retreated into the shadows, observing, waiting. There were dark periods, seasons where the light dimmed, where the echoes of glory felt distant and mocking. Yet, the Orange and Blue never truly descended into prolonged irrelevance. The expectation, the fierce demand for contention, remained a constant, almost psychic pressure. Owners, coaches, players, they all felt it, the invisible hand guiding them, demanding they uphold the standard, that they never, ever truly settle. The franchise's consistency, its inability to embrace genuine, prolonged failure, wasn't just good management, it was the unyielding will of the spirit, refusing to allow its vessel to fully rot. It ensured that even in the troughs, the whispers of potential, the flicker of a comeback, always remained, gnawing at the edges of despair. The spirit, restless and ever-seeking, manifested again, drawing another legendary figure to its fold. Peyton Manning. His arrival was like a seismic shift, an ancient prophecy fulfilled. The Orange and Blue stirred, its dormant power reawakening with a terrifying intensity. Manning, in the twilight of his career, found a new purpose in Denver, a final act of greatness orchestrated by the city's demanding spirit. The records tumbled, the wins piled up, and the familiar hunger returned, ravenous and insatiable. But it was the defense that truly embodied the chilling return of the Orange Crush ethos. They were a legion of phantoms, a relentless wave of pressure that choked the life out of opposing offenses. They were the physical embodiment of the spirit's renewed ferocity, its raw, primal desire to dominate. A truly unsettling ritual that underscored this defensive dominance involved the unit gathering in a completely darkened room before every single playoff game during their Super Bowl 50 run, standing in absolute silence for several minutes, allowing themselves to feel the darkness and sharpen their predatory focus, a chilling preparation for the impending carnage. Super Bowl 50 was the culmination, a defensive masterpiece, a final, emphatic declaration of the Orange and Blue's enduring power, its refusal to merely fade into history. Manning rode off into the sunset, but the spirit, though momentarily satisfied, remained, forever imprinted on the franchise, a constant reminder of what it means to be a champion. And so, the haunting continues. The current era, with its struggles and its search for a new identity, is merely another chapter in the endless saga of the Orange and Blue's fierce spirit. The echoes of Elway's drives and Manning's precision still reverberate through Empower Field, a constant, chilling reminder of the standard. The defense still carries the legacy of the Orange Crush, a blueprint for domination that is ingrained in the very soul of the team. The determination, the refusal to settle for mediocrity, the pursuit of redemption, these are not just ideals, they are the genetic code of the Denver Broncos, an intrinsic part of the city's identity. The orange and blue are more than colors, they are a banner of defiance, a symbol of an unyielding will that has seen triumphs and heartbreaks, but has never, ever truly broken. They are a promise whispered on the wind, a grim prophecy that no matter the darkness, the orange and blue will always emerge, burning with an unquenchable fire, forever striving, forever contending. It's a legacy that wraps itself around you, an embrace of unwavering determination, a call to never surrender, to always believe in the next surge, the next ascent. The chill remains, the whisper deepens, because the orange and blue, the relentless spirit of Denver, is now a part of you, demanding you imagine what it truly means to refuse to settle for anything less than eternity.